I'm going to show you how I change oil in a car. I have a drain pan to drain the oil into, oil, paper towels, a funnel, an oil filter cap wrench, ratchet, socket, and a cheater bar if I need a little help getting that oil plug out. And I have a drain pan under the car. If you can't loosen the oil filter by hand, this is what I use. It's called a cap wrench, an oil filter cap wrench. And this is how it works. You put it on the oil filter, put a ratchet on it, and loosen the oil filter. You can also use an oil filter wrench, pliers, or strap wrench. The oil filter cap wrench is specific to the size of the oil filter you're using. So you want to make sure you get the right size cap wrench. The first thing I do is remove the oil fill cap. And I clean up the cap before I put it back on. Then I remove the dipstick. I'm going to loosen the oil pan plug with a ratchet and a socket. Mine's a 14 millimeter. Yours will likely be different. If you have a difficult time getting that plug out of the oil pan, use a cheater bar. This is a piece of EMT metal and it fits over the ratchet. You want a piece of EMT metal or other type pipe long enough to give you some leverage to get that plug out if it's on too tight. Have some paper towels handy because it's going to get messy when you pull that plug out. I use paper towels to clean the drain pan plug before I put it back in. There's a gasket that goes between the shoulders of this drain plug and the oil pan. Some people replace those every time they change the oil. I don't. So use your judgment there. If you change the gasket, make sure it's the right size for your drain plug. Now I'm going to remove and change the oil filter. It's located right here on my car. I've loosened it. If you worry about oil draining, put some paper towels under that oil filter. When I change my truck's oil, I put a piece of plastic under the oil filter and some paper towels. When you remove the oil filter, you want to make sure this gasket comes with it and doesn't remain on the mating surface. I've had that happen where it remained on the mating surface and I put on another oil filter. That was bad news. Oil started to spew out everywhere. Just make sure that gasket comes with the oil filter when you remove it. I take a clean paper towel and clean around the mating surface, swiping away from the center. When you purchase an oil filter, I recommend that you purchase one that has an anti-drain back valve. That anti-drain back valve stops some or most of the oil from draining out of the oil filter and back into the pan. It's better for your engine when you start it. It doesn't matter what brand you use. I just happen to be using this Fram. Before you put that oil filter on, take a little fresh oil on your finger and put it on that gasket. Just a little bit. We've got a nice light film of oil around that gasket. Now I'm going to put the oil filter back on. before I put the drain plug back in. I'm going to clean that surface a bit. Now I'm putting the drain plug back in. I first tighten it by hand as much as I can to stop the leaking. Ratchet in the righty-tighty position. There you go. I clean around the drain plug. When you clean around the drain plug, if you have any oil seepage or leaking, it's easier to see because you have a baseline of clean. You see that gasket in between the shoulders of the drain plug and the oil pan? That's the gasket you change between oil changes if you choose to. Again, I don't. I may change that gasket like every 5 to 10 oil changes, and it's never leaked. You need to know what type of oil your engine takes. Mine takes 10W30. On my fill cap, it indicates what type of oil the engine requires. If you're not sure what type of oil your engine takes, either look in the owner's manual, look online, or contact the manufacturer. Here's the owner's manual for my car. It indicates that if I drain and refill the oil and change the oil filter, that my car requires 3.8 quarts. But it's never taken 3.8 quarts. If I put in 3.8 quarts, it would be overfilled. So I recommend as you're filling your car with oil, you keep checking the dipstick so you know how full it's getting. Now we're going to fill the engine with oil. I put my funnel in. Before I put the rest of the oil in the fill cap area, I'm going to check my dipstick and see how full the oil's getting. So when you check the oil on a dipstick, here's how you do it. Clean it off, put it back in, remove it again, and look at the oil level. Mine needs a little bit more oil. I'm going to put a little more oil in. And check the dipstick again. Perfect. You want to fill the oil to the fill line right there. Now I remove the funnel. I clean around this area too with a clean paper towel, swiping away. Now I put the fill cap back on. I put the funnel in the empty oil jug. Now I'm going to fill the oil jug with the oil I drained from the engine. Then I'm going to take it down to an auto parts store to recycle it. I'm going to clean out this container so I can reuse it next time. And that's how you change oil in a car. Hope it helps, and happy DIYing.